Good morning. My name's Ray. I'm with Team S.T.E.A.M. and this morning I'm out behind Flash Industrial Painting getting ready to undergo the first of many steps of completely repainting this 2001 Kenworth from front to back. If you saw that last video that I did, it's of a very similar truck. The same outfit owns it, same scenario. They're done with it. They're gonna paint it up, get it all in good shape again, and send it to an auction, it and quite a few others. And when they do that, they're going to put brand new tires on it, brand new paint on it, even fill fuel tanks up, make sure everything is mechanically and perfectly good working order before they send it to the auction. And that's kind of where I come in. One of the first things we're going to do is sandblast this chassis here today. And after that, we'll start with the many other steps of repairing and refinishing the cabin hood as well. Just like in the last truck, the paints just come off the doors all the way to the aluminum. We even have some adhesion problems down here. Somebody at some point in time had taken a aerosol can of touch-up paint, it looks like to me, and touched this up in many spots, and as you can see, it was never prepped, and so it's just coming off. So I'm going to have to take all of that off, and you can see it's all in here too. I'm going to need to take all of that stuff off if I want my paint to stick. You can see the paint's missing there. Look how wrinkled up that is. This is just going to come right off here. So got our work cut out for us there, and as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of corrosion. That's probably a 1/4 inch thick right there. That's probably a 1/4 inch thick right there. These factory powder coated chassis are just not a good deal. The powder coating is super hard to get off with a pressure or with a sandblaster, and yet it doesn't hold up worth a darn on the truck. On this side, the paint hasn't all peeled up, but you can tell that it definitely wants to. I mean, look. There's zero adhesion to that paint. Look at that. Look at that. It just comes right up. Somebody touched up this side with a spray can. As you can see, it wasn't prepped, so it just comes right off. And so this morning, the first thing I'm going to do is go get some tools and get these fenders, these little half fenders or 1/4 fenders, whatever you want to call them, pulled off of here. These were just very recently installed in there in front of the work that I need to do. So I'm going to pull these off here and mask up a few things and get ready to get this thing sandblasted. All right, I just finished hacking away at this guy for quite a while, actually. It's been hours. You have to use brand new sand, and you have to have a lot of patience, and you have to take a lot of time on it. But I finally got it all hacked down, and now we're all at bare metal. And here in a minute, when my compressor cools down, I'm gonna shut it down, pick up all my equipment, and then go ahead and get this guy in the shop. Now, this truck might be very, very similar to the last truck, but this video isn't going to be as similar to the last video. In this video, I'm going to be showing more of the actual process that it takes to get a truck like this into bodywork, back out of bodywork, into a straightened condition, primed, and then painted. Right now, we're just taking everything off of it. And before we go ahead and mask on it, we're going to wipe the whole thing down with thinner, just to make sure that it was never buffed on, or if it was, that it doesn't affect my primer or paint. All right, so we've reached the point where we've got this truck completely taken apart and completely masked up and ready for the next step. And my next step is going to be to identify where all the bodywork needs to go and begin applying it. And the next step for the boys is going to be to sand down panels that aren't going to require any bodywork, like this one and this one, and then also to begin scratching rivets. And there's a lot of rivets on a truck like this, so that's really going to take up the bulk of their day. All right, so here's what it looks like once I've prepped out all the dents. As you can see on this side, a lot of dents on the outside, kind of more sparse throughout the center, and then a lot up this side. Now I've gone ahead and smeared my first layer of bodywork. And so here in just a minute, this will be set up enough. I don't want it to be 100% set up. I don't want this stuff to be rock hard, because then it's hard to sand. But it can't be soft either. It'll just gum up your paper. So you got to get it to where it's barely tacky to the touch, but almost completely set up, 85% set up. And then you start sanding on it. And what I use is this is probably a 3 by 12 inch sanding board, and I've got a number of them. I keep 2 of them on hand for doing stuff like this, and then I keep 40 grit on it. In this particular case, the first sanding of the first body work, if it's deep body work, I'll do 40 grit. And here in just a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sanding on it fairly evenly. I mean, it is a matter of feel. It is a matter of touch. You do have to get used to how to do it. There's no one set way of doing it that's going to guarantee perfect results. It is a matter of feel, but I'm going to start sanding on it. And the first thing it's going to do is it's going to clog up my paper. And once it clogs up my paper, I mean, you just a couple strokes and you'll look and your paper will be clogged. Then, when that happens, you take a blow tip and you just blow it right out of there. And if the stuff is too tacky when you sand it, it won't blow out of there. But if you get it just right, it will. And then you could just blow this out and then hit it again with the sander. And then a few seconds later, blow it out again. That keeps your paper good and clean, and it keeps it cutting even. If you neglect that step, your paper will get clogged immediately and it'll stop sanding accurately. See? Clogged it. Cleans it right out. Clogged it. Cleans it right out. And now the first coat sanded, and it's basically done. I don't see any low spots in it. Sometimes you'll find low spots in it. This time I didn't. And I used, like you saw, this sanding block. And then for the smaller areas, I used a small sanding block. This is called a mouse type. And what it is it's got Velcro on the bottom, and you can wrap normal 6-inch sandpaper around it. So you don't have to keep special paper around. What I have on there right now is 80 grit. And that's for some of these more segregated areas, so I don't have to put such deep scratches in all the paint all the way around a tiny little dent. Instead, I use this for that. And now I'm going to go ahead and spread the bodywork on this other large section here and get it sanded as well. And now I've got this one roughed in, and there's almost no low spots, maybe 1 or 2 little guys. Okay, so I've got all my body work done. I've got my glazing on, and the glazing on this side's ready to sand. This side just got put on. It'll be ready to sand in 5 minutes or so. And the secret to glazing is just to put it on and get it back off there and leave it as thin as you can, because all I'm trying to do is fill the sand scratches that I left from that heavy 40 grit and any of the pinholes that might be left behind it. And the heavier body work, there's always pinholes left behind it. And by pinholes, I mean sometimes things 5 times the size of a pinhole. So you'll want to fill all of that with glazing, squeegee it back off there to get as much back off as you can, and then just simply sand it with a DA sander. All right, all the prep's done, all the body work's done, all the glazing's done, all the way around the truck, everything's done on the hood, the back of the cab, the doors. As you can see, we got into some body work here on the driver's side, a little bit on the passenger side as well. Got the hood all taken care of. Now I'm ready to go ahead and get some wet sanding primer on this guy. now here it is the next morning, and the goal today is to go ahead and get any little chips or cracks or anything I might have missed in the fenders located and fixed. And then I'm going to get a tarp thrown over the engine, and then I'm going to get the chassis primed in black, the fenders primed in gray, and the fenders shot in metallic blue. All right, well, now I've got the fenders all sanded down. I've got the chassis all blown off, everything right where I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a tarp over this engine and get to priming. All right, the chassis is primed, fenders have been primed, fenders are cured out. Let's go ahead and get some paint on. All right, so here it is the next morning. We got the blue on yesterday. And the goal for today is going to be to segregate the fenders from the rest of the hood, mask off the fenders entirely, finish prepping everything that needs it, sand all of this wet sanding primer, get everything ready to go, get the black on the chassis, get the white on the rest of the truck. Just like that. Got both sides done. Boys will be here any minute. We're gonna go ahead and get these masked up and get going on the rest of this project. All right, so the boys got the fenders masked up. I went ahead and turned them loose as soon as they were done with that. All the final sanding, the sanding of wet sanding primer, all of those kind of final steps are mine and mine alone. And so I went ahead and resanded the entire truck, the whole hood, the whole truck, the roof, everything, completely from top to bottom and front to back. And now I'm ready to go ahead and prime this cab in white, paint this chassis in black, then paint the cab in white, and then shoot really light pressure and carefully, meticulously reshoot the chassis in black. And now here it is the next morning, and the boys are going to be here any minute. We're going to start unmasking this thing and putting it all back together. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and do what I do every time, which is unmask the fenders first. Alright, so I got the fenders unmasked, everything went well. We're going to go ahead and finish unmasking this guy and getting it all put back together. And now we've reached the point where it's all completely unmasked and all completely put back together and completely ready to go. All right, so this is a 2001 Kenworth W900. When it showed up, it had clear coat peeling off of the hood in numerous spots, the roof in numerous spots. The paint was gone on the doors for the most part. The back was completely full of dents. Even the exhaust clamps had it. Both of these band clamps broke while we were taking them off, and all four of the saddle clamps broke as well. Chassis was had very little paint left on it, a bunch of rust on it, bunch of corrosion. Now it's looking good. Completely sandblasted, primed a few times, painted a few times. Not a single dent or ding or crack or anything left in it. In every bit as good a shape as it was when it left the factory. All right, well, this guy's ready to pull outside. And up next, I'm going to be replacing a few individual panels off of a Peterbilt hood and painting them to match. And then I'm going to be doing a 06 379 Peterbilt from front to back that's sitting out in the driveway right now. Hey, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. That's going to help me grow this channel. And if you like videos like this or domestic auto body or art or any of the other things we do around here, you might as well go ahead and subscribe because, you know, we always got something going on. We'll see you guys around.